It's Monday, August 6th, and we're back in trial again today with the defendant Astorita. It was an interesting morning. The prosecution started off. Both the prosecution and the defense stipulated that it would be okay if the defense experts sat in the gallery and while the prosecution's expert witness testified. I thought that was kind of unusual, but that's what was stipulated to prior to court. Very interesting if you ask me. I guess they'll be able to know what the other side has said and will testify probably in that direction. Another thing was that we got to, well, I didn't get to see the truck, but the jurors and the defense and the prosecution got to see the truck today. They took everybody down to the basement other than the gallery, and they were able to ask questions. A few of the jurors, I understand, got up on the truck to see the bullet hole in the top of the truck where 4 and 5 are being disputed. They were able to examine the truck. They had questions. They were able to get them answered. This is according to Maxine. She kind of filled me in since we weren't allowed to go down and see it. She was surprised that not even my loan institution or insurance company has been able to see my truck, even to this day. The judge seemed to be very interested in seeing the truck. We saw him come in this morning. He said hello to us as he walked through the lobby. And that was the first place he went, was downstairs in the basement to see the truck before he took everybody else down to see the truck. That has been an item of concern for him. But we came back after lunch, and they had some forensic experts that continued to testify from morning. The one forensic consultant is from New Mexico. He was very informative, very professional, very knowledgeable. He has many different degrees and expertise in different parts of his field. It was very interesting to listen to him. He mentioned that the fragments from the bullet that went through the roof could have been identified had they found any fragments, and had the person who had shot that weapon had turned in their weapon. That's interesting. You know, we'll never know, will we? Because if you are found a month later to have shot the weapon, of course you've had time to do something to that weapon to where it wouldn't match up with anything that might be available. Another thing that seems to be something that continues to prop up and rear its ugly head is the judge, the prosecution, and the defense continue to have to go over the rules in reference to what exhibits and what testimony will be allowed by the expert witness Terpster. And I probably am saying his name incorrectly. I'm so sorry about that. But they have been over it and over it. It seems like they continue to revisit the same thing every single time about what will be allowed in the 3D animation diagram that is put together for these jurors to look at. And what ended up happening was, in the end, is the judge allowed the officers that were involved to identify themselves on the video with a circle. They could circle their positions on the video. And then he allowed Terpster to put that into an animated diagram, if I'm making any sense. But he wasn't allowed to turn them into a figure. It had to be just a circle. And the 3D imaging and all of the technology that's available now, it is so easy to have the actual figure there, right? But the judge didn't want that. He didn't want anything like that. He kept that out. But when the jurors were dismissed, because all of the arguing that's going on back and forth in reference to what's going to be allowed, what's not going to be allowed, what exhibit can be shown to the jury, what exhibit won't be shown to the jury, what enhancements can be done, what enhancements can't be done. It was all really interesting to sit this over and over again. The subject has gone, in the last 2 weeks, it's been quite a bit of discussion over this one thing. Well, he dismissed the jury, and we go over it again, and we get to see in the gallery all of the information that this expert has, and he goes over all of it, and he shows us in the gallery. He goes, because he's showing the judge again, and the cone clearly tells you where that bullet came from and what position, what officer was standing in the position that fired that bullet. And it is clearly Astorita. It is clearly him. But the jurors are never going to see that, you see. They're never going to see that. They've heard testimony from all the officers. They have seen where the officers have testified on the diagram of what their positions were and who was where and when they were there. But they will never be able to see the modeling done by this expert witness. After this expert witness, after the cross and the redirect and the recross, after it was all over with, the prosecution rested today. Can you believe it? They rested today. So tomorrow the defense starts, and they announce today to the judge that they will have a couple of expert witnesses, and they will possibly have Astorita get on the stand tomorrow as well. This trial could be over tomorrow, and the jury could be left to deliberate tomorrow evening. So stay tuned, because this is moving kind of fast. It'll be interesting to see what happens. There's a lot of us that kind of figure we know how it's going to end up going, but you know, we'll see. We'll see after tomorrow. I'll give you an update at noon, and I'll give you an update in the evening to let you know. Thanks so much for being such a great support. God bless.